Howdy. Occasionally, Disney has movie scenes that are deleted out of the final movie for being too horrific, out of character, or unpleasant. But I actually think some of these scenes add a new layer of character or depth to the story.
Never underestimate the power of snow and ice.
So let's celebrate these scenes that never see the light of day with the top 6 darkest Disney deleted scenes. Also, apologies for the footage quality on some of these. Disney and Pixar don't tend to keep their deleted scenes in HD quality. And in case you'd like to see the original deleted scenes, I've added links in the description. Anyway, on to the countdown. Number 6. The Lion King alternative ending. Originally, this was the intended ending of when Simba and Scar had their final battle on Pride Rock. But producers deleted this ending, considering it too horrific for a Disney film. In this darker ending, Simba actually loses to Scar. He's the one that falls off the edge of Pride Rock. Ironically, not because he couldn't overpower his uncle, but because he showed compassion to Scar. Admittedly, being a bit of a gullible twit.
Please, help me!
Why should I?
You're no murderer, Simba.
I mean, seriously, after all that's happened to him over the last 18, 20 years, is he really gonna trust Scar? But once he's safe, he throws Simba off Pride Rock into the fiery abyss below. Jeepers. But by sheer luck, Simba manages to survive by hitting a tree branch. Thinking Simba dead, Scar lets out a villainous, victorious laugh over the inferno of Pride Rock. In fact, Scar finds the whole situation so hilarious that he doesn't even notice the flames engulfing him behind him, and he's burned alive. Yeesh. Then we get a nice scene of Simba helping a wounded lioness. I actually think that little part would have been a nice addition to the final movie. I don't really blame them for cutting this ending, though I can't help but think seeing Scar mauled by hyenas wasn't a whole lot better. Rather than Simba winning by sheer luck, I suspect Disney wanted him to win by his own efforts, and I think that made his journey even more powerful. And for number 5, Lilo and Stitch. Stitch watches Pudge the fish die. This was a surprisingly shocking scene as it makes Stitch look like a psychopath. Lilo cries out desperately for Stitch's help as birds kill Pudge the fish. But for some reason, Stitch just sits there, smiling sadistically as he watches Pudge die. Kinda reminds me of that Peppa Pig picnic scene. Ugh. Lilo is heartbroken, and the tone shifts even darker as the two go to the graveyard to bury Pudge next to Lilo's parents. It definitely would have taken away from Stitch's likability if they'd added this scene. Still, it's a very emotionally powerful scene and an interesting Easter egg. Links in the description if you're curious. Number 4. Toy Story. Evil Woody. The Black Friday Reel.
Slanky! Get up here and do your job!
Fun fact, originally in Toy Story, Woody was intended to be the bad guy, mostly due to DreamWorks founder Katzenberg, but anyway. You remember how Woody accidentally knocked Buzz out the window?
Buzz!
Well, there's a deleted scene where he very intentionally knocks him out the window.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. Whoa! Whoa! What?
In fact, evil Woody was like a dictator to the other toys. Not only did Tom Hanks hate the original Woody, but Disney executives were disgusted and nearly cancelled the movie after seeing it. Apparently, the then Disney chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg had demanded that Toy Story have a more adult, cynical edge to it. Katzenberg later went off to found DreamWorks. This is probably why I can imagine Shrek giving this sort of callous, cynical attitude, but it's a far step away from what Disney would do. And this Woody was a real scumbag, and uses Slinky like an attack dog against the other toys.
Who said your job was to think, Spring Wiener? You would have been hauled away to Goodwill a long time ago, so shut your mouth and get them off the bed!
So in this one, when the other toys turn on him, it seems more like they're overthrowing their evil dictator. Toy Story came very close to being canned altogether because of this evil Woody.
Oh, what harm could it have done, Buzz? Just screwed him up for the rest of his life, that's all.
And the third darkest Disney deleted scene is Frozen, Evil Elsa.
Evening, gentlemen. Why are you on my mountain?
Fun fact, the original Elsa was also kind of sadistic. In fact, she found it quite amusing to torture information out of soldiers who dared visit her in her ice palace.
He is busy raising an army.
Yes, Your Majesty!
What a coincidence.
I actually would have liked Elsa's character to be a bit closer to this. This Elsa actually blurs the lines a bit more between hero and villain, and I like that. And I could be wrong on this, but wasn't that one of the fundamental points of the Wicked musical? This scene also seems more in character after her revelation and transformation earlier in Let It Go. She's still riding that euphoria of that newfound freedom of being whatever she wants to be. The Elsa we ended up with seemed a little more insecure and vulnerable, which is fine, but I actually prefer this version of her. Here, she's a wrathful, headstrong renegade. I always hated how she was just going to let Hans kill her at the end. This Elsa would have frozen Hans 20 times over. When I think an Ice Queen who is emotionally troubled enough to inadvertently bring about a howling, all-encompassing ice blizzard across the country, I tend to think some wrath is in order. Just a heads up, there's some animated gore in this one. If you don't like that sort of thing, just jump ahead to this timestamp here. And the second darkest Disney deleted scene is the Black Cauldron, the Horned King's undead army. Originally, the Horned King did actually kill people on screen in the movie. Quite horrifically, in fact. We got to see their flesh literally decomposing and boiling off their bones. This is way more graphic than we'd ever expect from Disney, but I have to admit, this scene would have made the Horned King way more threatening. It gives the scene more gravity and shows us just what his undead army could potentially do, just by touching Taranor Eilonwy. But this is Disney, so what more can be said than, ugh, what were they thinking? And before we get to number one, just a quick honorable mention. Tarzan. Tarzan's dad getting eaten by a tiger. This one was cut for obvious reasons. Too gruesome. Parents probably wouldn't have been impressed watching their kids start Disney's Tarzan with this scene. Anyway, on to number one. And the number one darkest and best Disney deleted scene is...
Morris!
Zootopia, the Taming Shock Collar. To me anyway, it always felt like something was missing from Zootopia. There was something we weren't being told. Like there was this dark undercurrent to the world that I wasn't seeing. And you know what? I think we found it. Originally in Zootopia, there was a disturbing level of oppression across predators. It was something that was visible to everyone in the form of a shock collar.
Here we go.
If ever a predator gets too aggressive or even too excited, zap! Needless to say, this gave a much darker tonal shift to the story. This was a world where it was perfectly normal for sentient beings to be treated like caged animals. And all because of their race. Some people might agree, while visually this isn't gruesome, conceptually this is horrific, and gave the story even more teeth and impact. One particularly unforgettable collar scene is the one with the original Polar Bear Mafia.
With this color, Zootopia accepts you.
With this color, Zootopia accepts me.
Somewhat reflecting a Jewish bar mitzvah, the Mafia leader is performing his son's taming ceremony. And yes, it is exactly what it sounds like.
What's wrong, Papa?
Nothing. Papa is just happy for you.
Placing a shock collar on the young cub coming of age. In order for him to be allowed into Zootopia society, the shock collar had teeth. It wasn't afraid to make the audience uncomfortable, and I like that. Though I guess risks become harder to justify when your budget is breaking $150 million. Interestingly, originally Nick was the star of the show, and after he felt the momentary euphoria of having his taming collar removed, he decided he wanted to bring this joy to other predators. So he tried to make Wild Times a predator-only theme park.
I have a building lined up, I have the plans, I have the staff, I have a dream. The only thing I don't have is a loan to make it happen, friend. Will you help me make it happen? Will you help me make it happen?
The one place they could go where their shock collar could actually be removed. Though I understand the taming collar might have been a little bit too brutal for younger viewers. though damn, it adds to the teeth of the story so much. I consider this both the darkest and the best deleted Disney scene. I tend to delete a good 30% of my original videos, so I do understand Disney's mindset when they delete some of these scenes. But some of these scenes I think would have really added to the movies. But I guess as one of the double edges to making a massive popular family movie. I guess some scenes have to be sacrificed to get something that all ages can enjoy. And if you think I missed a particularly dark, or simply interesting Disney deleted scene, feel free to leave your own thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Welcome to the end of the video. Thanks for watching to the end. I wish Disney had actually animated fully some of these scenes. I feel like they could have made their money back just making viral YouTube videos of the deleted controversial scenes. Anyway, enough of my rambling. I'll talk to you later.